Welcome everyone to the Woman Reinvention Project. My name is Vesna Hrsto and today we are speaking with Jennifer Hadley. Jennifer is an intuitive spiritual teacher and counsellor. She's a licensed minister from the Agape community. She hosts a show on Unity Online Radio called A Course in Miracles, and her online home is jenniferhadley.com, where she has her blog and her daily prayer. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you, Vesna.
Thank you. I'm so happy that you're here as well. Now, when I first heard about you, I was actually joined your summit, Stop Playing Small. And I love the message about obviously stop playing small, but the spiritual kind of principles that you weaved into that, particularly with the Course in Miracles. And so I'm so excited to have you here today to talk about that to these women.
Well, it's my whole life is around this work of not playing small anymore and really taking good care of ourselves, loving ourselves, and being in our right mind, living joyfully.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Love it. Before we kind of get into the juicy content, what kind of brought you into this work? Like whether it being, your intuitive work, your spiritual teacher work, and also living from that place of, playing a bigger role or playing big instead of playing small?
Well, you may have heard of the term highly sensitive person, highly sensitive people. So I'm a highly sensitive person, but unlike a lot of highly sensitive people, I'm not delicate. So I have a very strong constitution. And when I was younger, I was very intuitive, but I didn't understand it, and it didn't make sense to me. And I was very judgmental, very angry most of the time. And so I was constantly getting in my own way and making myself miserable and making people around me miserable. I was definitely a bitch. I really was. And, it was so painful. It was so painful, and I felt like I couldn't stop. And then in my mid-20s, I started to tune into spirituality. And it felt like it was something that was an answer for me. That there was an interest there that just pulled me. And now I can say I know now it was my calling. I didn't know it then. And so I began to take lots of spiritual classes and read books and things like that, as one does. And I did that for a long time. And then I finally realized that it could only take me so far, the reading and the studying. I had to actually live it. I had to really get all in.
Yeah. And
that's when my whole life changed. And that's when my mind really opened up. My intuition really opened up. My heart opened up. It took me a long time. It took me almost 20 years to get to the point where I really said, I'm going all in on this. And I'm grateful for my journey now, Vesna, because now I can share it with others so that they don't feel like they're spiritually stupid or they're doing something wrong. They're in a progression too. Yeah. And hopefully when I share what I've learned, they realize, oh, I get it now. And they'll get it faster than I got it.
So that's interesting. So did you find that, and I don't know whether this has a correlation, but being highly sensitive and intuitive and not owning it or not stepping into it or not embracing it, was that causing the change, like where you were feeling like a different person, like you were feeling, angry and not yourself? Was that kind of suppression of those gifts? Was there a correlation there, like of suppressing that?
Well, here's the thing. The main thing for me that was the cause of my suffering was that I was honestly choosing to be unloving so much of the time. I was angry, I was argumentative, I needed to be right about everything. I felt incredibly threatened if I wasn't right about everything. And I was in a lot of self-deception.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot that I just refused to recognize or even look at.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was so unhappy. Whenever we're really judgmental and really unloving, we're going to be miserable, just miserable. And so those blocks, the judgment, the anger, the resentment, the regret, the blame, the shame, all of that I was so entrenched in, it blocks your intuition to a huge degree. Because why would you be interested in the truth, intuitive insight, when you already think you know?
So true.
You just aren't.
Yeah.
Aren't receptive at all. It's like, nope. You just bat it away like it's a tennis ball. Just no.
Yeah. Really kind of closed off. The mind's really closed. I find if I, even just learning stuff, if I feel like, I've already heard that before, like I've totally just shut down my mind to getting anything new from it, So I guess that's what I think about when you say like feeling like you know everything and then, you push away all the intuition.
Exactly. And one of the things that I used to do was I would go to a spiritual service or a talk or something like that, and I would sit with my arms crossed over me and my legs crossed, and my mind, I would just be saying, I know that.
Yeah.
Duh. But if I knew it, I would be living it.
Exactly. Yeah, really good distinction. Okay, so what kind of people do you work with now, and what do you help them with?
Yeah, so I do one-on-one counseling, but the main thing I do is I teach classes in a very practical application of spiritual principle, because there are so many spiritual students who have read so many books and taken so many classes. They've listened to a million summits and CDs and things like that, but they are not applying it.
Yes.
And what happens is when we keep collecting more and more information, looking for the secret, looking for that thing that's going to flip the switch, we're thinking it's outside of us.
True, yeah.
But it's not. And as long as we think it's outside of us, we can't find it because we're not looking in the right place.
Yes.
So what I do is I help people to clear the clutter. Because if we just keep collecting more information, it becomes clutter in our mind, and we're confused all the time. What do I apply? This meditation technique or this one or this? And there's so much spiritual information now. And as near as I can tell, information has not healed anyone. It just doesn't. It can't. Yeah. But what can heal is our own living spiritual practice. So in my classes, I work with groups who are there together, not to judge each other, to have compassion for each other, to cultivate compassion for themselves, to do real forgiveness work and put the past behind them, and to stand in the now moment and be present to the possibilities of love that are actually available for us now. And so it takes a real willingness to be able to be open and to be transparent, to be willing. And so what I help people do is cultivate those skills and then really, really look at how much their opinions and judgments are driving their choices and decisions every moment. And they're driving them in a way that's cutting them off from intuition, cutting them off from inspiration and healing and love and joy, so that they can just eliminate those patterns.
Yes.
And really step into their magnificence. And it's amazing. I have a year-long class. I have a 7-week boot camp, and I have a year-long class. Those are my 2 main classes. And every year in my year-long class, and even in the 7-week class, I am amazed year after year after year at how much healing people can do in such a short period of time.
Wow, isn't that amazing? I think, when you said, I think it's such a good thing to bring up that there's so much spiritual information out there, and it's almost a little bit, ironic that the answer is within, yet we are looking outside of ourselves. And it's funny because there is so much information. And I think it's, it's a really good thing that you brought up, that action is the difference. Action is what makes it happen. Yeah, I love that. Okay.
Yeah, people become terrified about taking the wrong action or taking any action. So what I help people to do is really tune into their heart so that they can take the loving action, and it always brings immediate results. So I know you love A Course in Miracles. So A Course in Miracles says, one basic teaching of A Course in Miracles is infinite patience produces immediate results. And so just even that simple practice of being patient with yourself will produce immediate results.
Love that. Okay, so let's talk about how to stop playing small. So I guess one of the, before going into it, like, how do you know if you're playing small? Like, I feel like I know when I'm playing small. I'm not really expressing myself. I'm holding myself back. And I can really feel it because I feel, I don't feel quite in that kind of sweet spot, I don't feel like I'm quite there, and I can feel the resistance. I can feel that there's that jump or that leap that I need to make. But is there other ways that can be identified if you're playing small? Like, what are some of the things that you've experienced or that you've seen in people?
Well, what you're saying is you don't feel comfortable. That's a dead giveaway. If you don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel relaxed, if you don't feel energized, then in some way you probably are playing small. So playing small is really when you know so much more is possible for you, that you're not really sharing your gifts and talents in the ways that you believe you could.
Yes.
You might feel that there are all kinds of reasons why you can't do it now. And that's when you're playing small, is when all of those reasons are preventing you from sharing your gifts and talents. So I used to play small. And the thing about playing small is, especially for spiritual students, it is intensely painful.
Yeah.
It's intensely painful because people who are spiritual students and they're interested in making the world a better place, they have a calling.
Yeah.
And that calling is calling them every day. It's like tapping on their head and their heart all the time. And when we say, I don't have what it takes, we're not telling the truth.
Yes.
Because we do have what it takes. Everything that we need is pre-installed within us. And, a great analogy is, you think of, I don't know, do you have oak trees?
Yes.
Okay. So an oak tree has an acorn as a seed, right? It's a little tiny thing compared to a huge oak tree.
Yes.
Well, if you take that acorn seed and you plant it in reasonable soil, even not so reasonable soil, but you water it, you give it some love, you give it some attention, give it some light, it's going to grow into an oak tree.
Yes.
And it doesn't need any instruction from you.
Yeah, I love that.
It already has encoded into it the pure intelligence to become itself.
Yes.
And so do we. And there are so many spiritual students who are spiritual teachers, and they're afraid. They're afraid to follow their calling. And the reason is this: because they're in their mind, in their heart, they're angry, they're judgmental, they're attacking, they're complaining, and they know in their heart that a spiritual teacher who's angry and judgmental and complaining and attacking is only going to teach misery and pain and suffering. And the world has already had enough spiritual teachers who are doing it for the money, who are doing it to get validation because they don't feel special enough. The world has already seen enough of those people, and the the pain they inflict on the world when they operate from that mindset. So when somebody has that mindset, they haven't cleared it yet, they're afraid to share their gifts and talents because they don't want to spray the toxicity in the world. I totally get that. And that was the thing that kept me playing small, was I didn't feel worthy. But I didn't know why I didn't feel worthy, because I wasn't really willing to look at, well, I don't feel worthy because I'm mean and angry and bitter and judgmental and complaining and blaming and shaming of myself and others. So when I went all in, what I did was I went all in for love. And I said, I'm going to have compassion for myself first and foremost. No more ragging on Jennifer.
Yeah.
And I am going to be as kind and compassionate as I possibly can with others. And there may be times when I feel like just ripping somebody's head off, and I'm going to just zip it, and I'm not going to say anything. And I'm going to stop giving people advice. I'm going to stop telling people what they should do, which is really unkind. Who wants a spiritual teacher that says, you know what you should do?
Yeah. But you'd be surprised how many people are looking for that, and it's that looking for that information outside of yourself.
Yeah, but I mean, does anybody feel good if somebody comes up to them and says, you know what you should do?
Yeah, no.
I mean, I've had people come up to me and say, you know what you should do? And the old me, the judgmental, frightened me, would say, well, you know what you should do? You should F off. That's what you should do.
Yeah.
So people are looking for guidance, looking for inspiration, but they don't want judgment. They don't want, it's painful.
Yeah.
They don't judge themselves enough.
Yes.
People want encouragement. They want love and kindness. They want models of how to be loving and compassionate and kind, even when they're feeling threatened.
Yes.
And that's what a good spiritual teacher can really do. A good spiritual teacher is working their stuff every day.
Yes, I totally agree. And the way you describe it, it's very much, there's no agenda from you. You're very kind of holding your space and, inviting people into that. But there's no agenda for you to have to change anyone, fix anyone, get validation or whatever, So there's that totally, it is a message of love, Yeah,
it's about really, for me as a spiritual teacher, it's about, and I really think of spiritual teaching as sharing, effective sharing. And so I'm sharing what I've learned. And it's about holding that space for people, knowing that the light is within them and that they have the ability and the capacity to discern for themselves, even when it looks like they don't, because they do. Even when it looks like they don't. I find it all the time in working with people. And to know that I'm here to serve the light, so that's my agenda. I'm here to serve the light, and Spirit will let me know how that's going to look.
Yeah. It's a lot of faith. I love that. It's a lot of faith. I feel like when I kind of, if I'm struggling with something, I'm like, okay, I'm so overly invested in this, I'm just, I'm trying to make it happen. I'm not really getting out of my way. And, I've gone through this process of, okay, so what does surrender really look like? I actually had to look it up the other day. What is surrender? Am I not doing something? Am I doing something, but then just, giving up kind of any attachment to outcome? And to me, I find, letting Spirit lead the way. There's a lot of faith in that process. A lot of self-trust and a lot of faith.
Yes. And that's one of the things I teach people is how to have faith.
Yeah.
So to have faith, what we have to do is we have to learn to practice having trust.
Yes.
So we keep practicing trusting. And in that trusting, we build faith.
Yes.
So we also have to learn discernment, because if we're putting our trust in somebody else's ego or in our own ego, it's not going to go so well. So we're only trusting in love.
Yes.
That's the only thing there is to place our real trust in. And the more we do that, we really build a strong faith. And there's a discernment that happens that you can't really, you can teach somebody how to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what I do, is I teach people how to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Because their inner teacher is the only one that's really going to teach them.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that, you know, in your work, you hold that space for people to keep trusting themselves along the way. And I think that's such a good guide and such a good reminder to have that, you know, because I just find like there'll be times when I'm trying to remind myself, and then, you know, this kind of switches back on and goes, well, what are you doing? You should do it this way. Do you know, what are you kind of letting go? Oh my goodness, do something, do you know? And I think I think that's great that you create that space for that reminder of trusting. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes all the difference in the world, because then we're not trusting in the ego. We're learning to trust from our heart. And very often the most loving choice, the most helpful choice to the ego will look like insanity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our heart will tell us, go talk to that person, or call that person, or email that person, or go visit that person. And the ego's like, that's a waste of time. Don't do that. Yeah. But it's amazing how if we can just have trust that something good will really come of it. But here's one thing that gets in a lot of people's ways, Vesna, is that they are giving something. They're giving love, they're giving time, they're giving attention, money, energy, whatever it is, sex. Mm-hmm. You know, women give all kinds of things that if they're doing it in order to get something in return, that's not love, that's not trust. That is actually manipulation.
Yeah.
And manipulation is codependency, and it just never brings a happy result. Yeah.
That's interesting, because I was having this conversation the other day where, you know, women are very nurturing and very caring, and they naturally do a lot of things for people, and often to sacrifice themselves, you know, to sacrifice the things, their needs and their health and their happiness and etc. And I always feel that if you're giving from that kind of empty place, or not empty place, if your kind of cup's not full, or if you're not, you know, if you're not kind of, I don't feel like if you're giving from like an empty cup that it's always coming from love.
It's not. If you're running on fumes, if your well is dry, how could it be coming from love? Because if you're not loving yourself, you don't have love to share for others. So then you are giving to get. And one of the ways that women can know that they're giving to get is they don't feel appreciated.
Yes.
They don't feel recognized.
Yes.
They feel that too much is being asked of them. Then they're giving to get.
That is such a good distinction, because I hear a lot of that. I hear a lot of that from women. You know, I'm doing all of this stuff for him or for her, and, you know, I don't want to do it anymore. It's not appreciated. I'm not being supported. I'm not being cared for. And it's just like, wow, there's that giving out to get.
And when that's happening, one thing is to look at is this. Is anybody asking you for it? Is anybody asking you for it?
Good question.
Because it's not about getting something in return. You know, so often people who feel alone and feel afraid, they think if somebody loved them, they would feel complete or feel fulfilled. But the spiritual truth is you're already complete. The reason why you don't feel complete is because you're not loving yourself. So no one's going to make you feel complete.
Yes.
There might be a temporary moment where you think, I feel validated, I feel complete, but that's going to go away, because that person who's completing you in your mind they're going to become interested in someone else, and now they're gone, and your completion is gone.
Yes.
So we're already complete. Everyone's already complete. And so when we love ourselves, then we can feel that. And the whole giving to get it's an absolute affirmation that you're not already enough. Yeah. So every time that we choose to give kindness, anything, in order to get something in return, we're literally making an affirmation that we're not enough.
Mm.
And that's why we feel, oh, I didn't get appreciation. I didn't get what I thought I'd get in return, and now I'm mad. Well, who asked you to do that stuff?
Mm.
If you don't do it because you enjoy doing it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Just let your life just kind of get really simple. Stop doing all that stuff. Just allow it to get really simple. Sometimes I have women clients or students that I'm counseling, and I'll say to them, okay, for 1 year or 6 months, no volunteering. Just really don't help other people. Really.
Wow. How do they find that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because when you do that, then you're going to be focusing inward.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have some space to really look at yourself, and you're going to look at your relationship to the reason why you're making all those choices to be of service to other people. It's a lot of distraction. A lot of spiritual students have this false belief that it's better to give than to receive. But how would it be better to give than to receive? That would be out of balance.
Yeah.
It's best to be in balance. And there's really only one place to receive from and only one place to give, and that's Spirit, the infinite. So we need to be in that total equality of giving and receiving, receiving everything from Spirit, giving everything back to Spirit. So it doesn't matter if it's Nancy who's receiving our love and then we're receiving Susan's love. It's all perfect balance. We don't have to keep score.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
Really, if you thought about it, and you, especially let's just use an example of a single woman, okay, who would like to find a mate. And let's say you'd like to find, it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman, but you'd like to find a mate, and you think, oh, my ideal person is going to be someone who keeps score.
Yeah.
Someone who's always keeping that score and holding it over my head. Yes, watching everything I'm doing and wondering, am I measuring up to their standards? Yeah. That's what I'd like.
No. Yes. And it sounds horrible when you but that's, I hear a lot of women doing that in their relationships. They are keeping score. And it's really sucking the love out of the relationship. And there's such little things, but they make it so big. And, yeah.
Yep. If you don't feel like doing it, if it doesn't feel great to you, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Really, do you want to be in a relationship where it's I'll give you this if you give me that?
Yeah. And that's essentially what's happening. Yeah. And that's essentially what's happening when that behavior's going on.
That's codependency.
Yeah.
And it's manipulation.
Yeah, wow.
There's just no love in it.
Yeah.
Which is why the relationship starts to feel unhealthy. It doesn't feel like, oh, this is exciting, this is enjoyable. And, it's pretty hard to adore someone who's keeping score.
Yeah, true.
We adore someone when they are so good at receiving our love. And that whatever they're giving to us, they're giving it with a free, whole heart.
Yeah.
You think of the way that little kids can love you. They just can love you. There's no strings attached.
Yeah.
Or like the way a dog can. You could leave them for 12 hours and they'll be upset, but they'll be over it.
Yeah.
They're not keeping score. They're not getting mad at you. They're not sulking. They do a little bit here and there, but they can't do it for very long.
Yeah,
exactly. It's just not their nature.
Yeah. So if the women listening they recognize that, that there is a part of them that is playing small, or they are playing small in their life, how can they start to step into, into their calling or into their gifts or into that bigger part?
All right. So the first step really is to cultivate the willingness to do that. And the willingness is going to feel blocked until you really are able to move from your heart. Because that's where everything really happens. If you're doing it from an intellectual point of view, it's going to feel dry and dull. It's not going to light you up.
Yeah.
You know, so a calling, we all have a calling in some way, shape, or form. And honestly, I think everyone's calling is to simply be loving.
Yeah.
To be compassionate, to be loving, to be kind, to be generous. That's what lights us up. I never get tired of being loving and kind and generous and compassionate. I just never get tired of it. And if I'm not being loving and kind and generous with myself, then I don't have as much energy for other people, like we were talking about before. It's time for me to fill the well. So for me, a daily spiritual practice keeps my well full. And then there are times when I need to really do a lot, and then I need to really fill the well a lot. So it's, you know, you go in these waves. So people who feel a calling to express their gifts and talents in the world, it's just not going to happen with ease and grace and joy unless people are loving themselves. So it just always goes back to that, and it starts with simple things that you can do every day. And it's, in a sense, where many people are much unkinder to themselves than they are to other people. Much unkinder. And it keeps them playing so small.
I love that. So a really good way, like, I don't know, I just picked up on something there, like a good way to see or to assess whether you're coming from a heart space is to really, does it energize you? Does that feeling of energy kind of run through your body? That, to me, I find that that's a good indicator. Like, is it feeling hard and draining and difficult, or is it just so energizing for me that I can't stop doing it?
Exactly. You know, and one of the things is that I meet a lot of women, actually, who feel disconnected from their feelings. You know, so I totally agree with you. And there are a lot of women who have worked really hard not to feel their feelings so that they're not freaking out and melting down all the time. Because just in the basic world that we live in today, so I'm 56 years old. So I was born in 1959, very tail end of 1959. So the last of the baby boomers. And my mom was a women's liber, you know, and my dad too. And my mom had consciousness raising groups in the house with women's lib groups and things like that. And so I'm of this generation of women who had to work really, really hard, my mom even more so, to prove themselves that they could do the same job as a man. Now, that's still happening in our workplace, where women have to work much harder than men just to prove themselves. We all know that that's a fact.
Yes.
So what happens then is women are working harder than men, and they resent it on some level. You know, it's not fair, because they also generally, most women do more work at home too. Yeah. So they're doing more work at work, and they're doing more work at home, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And there is this idea in the world that women carry, that the ideal woman is going to be able to have a fantastic career, earn a lot of money, look great, look really great. Like, she's going to have time to go to the gym and get her hair and nails done on a regular basis. And she's going to be a fabulous cook, a great housekeeper. She's going to be a hot, sexy mama in bed. She's going to just do everything. Yeah. She's going to be decorating and putting up the wallpaper and making scrapbooks and everything that is possible for any woman to do. But no woman can do all of that.
No, it's impossible.
It is impossible. But yet most women compare themselves to this idea of an ideal woman who can do everything.
Yes.
And so we are always failing.
Yes. Yes.
In our own mind, we're always failing. And so in my Masterful Living class in Finding Freedom, we talk about compare and despair. So if we're comparing ourselves to other women or the ideal woman, what we should be doing, then we're judging ourselves. We're always going to fall short, and it's unloving, it's unkind. I mean, who among us, if you had a friend who every day called you up and said, so you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, when was the last time you really had a good manicure, or, I can't believe you went out with your hair like that, and just...
They wouldn't be a friend.
Would not be a friend,
Yeah.
But that's how many people are with themselves. So we need to get real that ideal woman is not human.
Yeah.
She's,
yeah.
And she doesn't menstruate. She doesn't go through menopause. She doesn't have babies. And she doesn't feel conflicted about whether or not she's really attracted to her spouse.
She doesn't have any cellulite. She doesn't have any rolls of fat or anything. It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, in my spiritual growth, one of the things I've started to do is just like, this is how I look.
Yeah.
This is my face.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is my hair. This is my real hair. These are my real eyelashes. Yes, that's Kara. Yeah. But I lead my retreats. I put pictures on my blog. Me in a bathing suit. Me in a bathing suit 30 years ago. Look at me now. There's a difference. I weigh 30 pounds more, And it's like, but hey, I'm still attractive. I'm happier than I was. When I was 30 pounds younger, I thought I was fat.
Yeah, it's amazing.
30 pounds slimmer. I thought I was fat. I would love to be 30 pounds slimmer, but I wouldn't want to go back to the way my mind was then, because now I feel free and happy.
Yeah. I
would trade free and happy any day,
but
some women wouldn't. They wouldn't be able to conceive that they could actually be happy 30 pounds heavier. So you start to recognize these things don't actually matter. What matters is, do I feel good about myself today? And it's just not ever going to come from the circumstances in the world. So we find our joy through loving ourselves where we are and being, in a sense, realistic. We have to look at all the judgments we put on ourselves. I should this, I should that, I should... Get rid of that list. Write down all the judgments. I should, and then just burn it. Throw it away. Just say, I'm not going to live with those hanging over me anymore.
I love that. And I love that you brought it up, because when my intention for bringing this summit together was because I see so many women just like that. They're working really, really hard. They come home, they do everything around the house. They do the cooking, they do the chores, they do the gardening. It's an endless, And then they're miserable, and then they're resentful of their life. They don't even know what their passions are anymore. They don't even know calling. I don't have a calling, this is it, right? So they feel very kind of boxed in with their life. So the intention for this was to really kind of, let's get some perspective here. Like, this is not real. This is not human, as you say. And for me, I feel like that's impossible to live like that and be happy and to be on purpose. So to really kind of call out, let's strip all that stuff back. What's really important? Yeah, you may have a great job, great money, and great things in your home or a great body, but you may be really miserable. And then all of that's for nothing. So looking at what's important, what's valuable, and kind of getting to the heart of a really meaningful life. Really happy life, and showing women that is possible, that you don't need to have whatever society tells us that we need to have in order to be happy. There is happiness for you in other things, in other areas.
You know what, in my experience, makes me feel the best is when I am really loving to someone. It's not whether they're being loving to me. It's when I'm sharing love and they're receiving it. That's when I really feel fantastic. And when we're both in that space of we're both sharing love, whether it's a friend, whether it's a child, it doesn't matter, even a pet, where we're both just sharing love with no attachment, no agenda. Then there's a real joy that's revealing itself. It's fun. We're in the present moment. We're here now. We're allowing ourselves to connect. That's wonderful. Yeah. And the same thing can occur in our relationship with the divine, with spirit. And so that's where a spiritual practice can really support us. And there are many things that we fall into in our world that are self-destructive habits. I used to have a real challenge with self-medicating with food, alcohol, cigarettes, all kinds of things. And because women work so hard, a lot of women are experiencing adrenal burnout because men have testosterone, which is fabulous. And that gives them the ability to go and go and go and go and go and go. But we just have a tiny little bit of testosterone. They have a lot. So that's why, just on a physical level, men are the hunters. They have the ability to run and chase that deer for 4 hours. We don't really have that capacity. Instead, we have the capacity to be able to see and notice a lot. So we can see, this child is playing with something that's dangerous, while we're looking to see if the tiger is going to jump on us. And while we're noticing, these berries are getting ripe, we'll be able to eat them soon. And the sun is getting this way, we're going to have to be going in. Women are able to see all this stuff. It's why we can walk into our living room and see everything that's out of place. And feel immediately discordant, whereas a man can walk through the room and there could be trash on the floor and they wouldn't even notice it. So we have these different skill sets. And so without that testosterone, if we're pushing and pushing and pushing like a man does all day at work and then doing so much at home, then we are tapping into our adrenals, and we're using things like coffee and sugar and stuff to keep us pumped up, cigarettes. So what happens is we become so depleted, we really are running on fumes, not just emotionally and mentally, but also physically. And so I recently did a program, I call it Pray and Clear. It's a free program, 40-day reboot, where I'm inviting people to go off sugar and gluten and caffeine for 40 days to reboot their system. And I give them daily inspiration to keep them going. And and it's really what it is it's a detox to reestablish your serotonin levels. Because, serotonin is created in your digestive system. And so if you're not eating really healthy and giving yourself plenty of time to digest and all of that, then you're going to have good serotonin levels. So you're going to get depressed. And you may not know why. It can actually be because of what you're eating and drinking.
And how you're doing it, eating your food too fast. Like, nothing is worse for the digestive system than eating so fast, And yet that's pretty much, when I tell women, slow down on your meals, like take 20 minutes to eat. And they're like, 20 minutes? Are you kidding? Like, yeah, like really actually enjoy your food. It's on your plate and you've made that choice to eat that food. So really spend time with it and enjoy it. What's 20 minutes to enjoy food?
Yeah, exactly. I've been having a friend visit me, and he eats so fast that he's eaten his entire plate and gone for seconds and come back, and I've only eaten 20% of my food because I like to take my time with it. I've learned that that's a way to be loving to myself. And I enjoy my food. I enjoy the taste of my food. I don't want to rush through it. I want to savor it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think by the time that food comes to your plate, it's gone through a lot of hands, it's gone through a lot of work, and I appreciate all of that work that's gone into bringing that food to my plate. And to just kind of scoff it down, I haven't appreciated anything,
Absolutely. So in some fundamental things that we can do is we can get our serotonin back and We can nourish our adrenals. And one thing I love caffeine.
Me too.
I love it.
Me too.
And my daily inspiration, my blog is called Spiritual Espresso. So, and I love espresso, but I have found that I have more energy with little or no caffeine than with it.
Yes. Caffeine's really draining for the adrenals.
It is. So there are just some basic things that women can do to support themselves in getting their joy back.
Yes.
Make that your number one priority, and then your calling, the inspiration will return. Because if you're feeling depleted and run down and exhausted, the very idea of tapping into your calling, it's going to feel like too much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just another thing to add. Yeah. So for women, again, so to stop playing small and to play a bigger role and to really kind of bring, obviously supporting and self-care of the body and bringing up the energy levels, is there a way, like, I love the Course in Miracles, how it's such that guiding, the guiding force to making changes in your life. And how could you use the Course in Miracles or, spirit to help you play a bigger role in your life, to help you make those changes or take big steps, or to even start looking for your calling?
Well, it's about really having a desire. So what I teach are some basic things. Cultivate the willingness, the willingness to shift, to change, the willingness to be patient, be kind, be generous, the willingness to be open, the willingness to forgive, willingness. And one of the things that gets us to that willingness is gratitude. So gratitude for things just as they are lifts our vibrations so that we can see more clearly, hear more clearly, know more clearly, and feel more clearly guidance, inspiration, intuition. When we're following guidance, inspiration, and intuition, we're not going to have a lot of wasted energy. We're not going to be pursuing things that are just egotistical, that lead us to more suffering. So being able to cultivate that listening is so valuable. And willingness and gratitude really help get us there. Because everything, just as it is, contains a learning for us. If we don't receive, or I say harvest the learning that's available to us right now, then we're just going to keep repeating the same experiences again and again and again until we can receive the learning. So if we're in judgment, if we're saying, this is terrible, I hate this should be different, then we're not accepting that there's perfect learning available for us with things as they are. So we have to move into what spiritual people will call acceptance. So it's not acceptance of a future, it's acceptance of what has been, what is right this moment. And from there going, okay, now what would I like? What am I willing to receive? Can I be grateful for what is? And call forth something greater. So willingness, gratitude, and then we ask for what it is we'd like. I'd like to rise above this situation. I'd like to have clear insight. I'd like to be more loving. I'd like to be more compassionate. And really asking for me, I ask for assistance from my higher self. I ask for assistance from the angelic realm, from Buddha, Krishna, Kuan Yin, Jesus, whoever you got, your Aunt Mary, your grandmother, your Uncle Fred, whoever it is that is in the realm of love and light that could support you. I mean, it makes a difference.
It does.
It does, because the angels are basically, they're always there to help us. If we don't ask, they can't interfere. But if we ask, they got something to do, and they love it. And then being grateful and being saying thank you. Thank you to the universe for helping me. Thank you for the love I just felt move through me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So gratitude, willingness, asking for support, and really being available. Just being as available as you possibly can, clearing out the resistance and the reluctance. And gratitude and willingness help a lot with clearing the resistance and reluctance. And then absolutely number one is to drop all judgments, because how can we know? How do we know what's good and bad and right and wrong? We just don't. I mean, every single one of us has labeled something bad and wrong, and then later we went, oh, that was so good that happened.
Yeah.
I thought it was for bad, but it was for good. I thought when I got fired from that job, that was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. But if I hadn't been fired, I never would have gotten this job, and woohoo, I got fired.
Yeah.
So every single one of us has had experiences that felt devastating or bad or wrong or painful, and we labeled it. But let's not label anything unless that's the way we'd like to keep experiencing more of it.
I love that. You could really make the changes or the stresses or the pain points or the suffering in your life a really deep spiritual practice by letting go of the judgment of that situation. I think that's big.
That's what forgiveness is. I've been teaching forgiveness workshop for many, many, many years. And I have a free forgiveness workshop on my homepage at jenniferhadley.com called How to Get Over It. So I really invite women to just go get that free How to Get Over It, and to be able to do that inner work of forgiveness. It just opens up so many doors for us in our heart, in our mind.
Beautiful. Well, I will include your website link with this video, and you have a Stop Playing Small workshop as well. Do you have an online workshop for that?
The whole summit that you participated in, people can still join that. So Stop Playing Small, if they go to the events page at jenniferhadley.com.
Beautiful. I will put that with this video. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. I got a lot out of it, so I just know that everybody else will as well. There's some deep or big spiritual lessons there, and just lots of guidance, lots of love in that message as well. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
Oh, thank you.